So welcome back to the Rise with Anita podcast, or welcome if you're new here. This is a space where ambition meets embodiment, where soul meets strategy, and where we don't just talk about transformation, we learn how to actually live it. Today's conversation is for every woman who's thought, I'll do it when I feel more confident. Whether it's applying for the opportunity, speaking up in the meeting, starting the business, or sharing your voice, so many women actually spend years waiting for confidence before taking the action that they need to. But what if confidence isn't just something you find? What if it's actually something you build? Joining me today is a returning guest. And I have to say, I think it's over a year, but we were just debating this since we last sat down together. So today isn't just a continuation, it's a bit of a reunion. Sheree Cain-Jones is an executive coach, relationship expert, speaker, leadership mentor who helps high-performing women break through self-doubt, strengthen their confidence, and lead authentically in every area of their lives. While Sheree is widely known for her work helping women transform their relationships, today we're exploring another foundation that impacts everything we do, confidence. From growing up surrounded by poverty, addiction, and abuse to becoming pregnant in high school and ending up in an abusive relationship, Sheree refused to let her circumstances define her future. She chose to rewrite her story, and today she's helping women do the same. So together we're going to be exploring what confidence really looks like, not just how you think, but how you speak, the opportunities you pursue, and the woman you become. But before we dive in, I want to invite both the listeners and Sheree into taking a breath just so we can arrive together. I don't know if I told you I do this now. Okay, well, if you're able to do so, please gently place your feet on the ground unless you're driving, in which case operating heavy machinery is probably not the time to do it. But release any tension in your jaw, relax your shoulders, and then we're going to take a slow inhale through the nose for 4. Hold for 4, and release through the mouth for 6. And we're going to do one more deep inhale through the nose for 4. Hold for 4. And release through the mouth for 6. Well, welcome back. I'm so honored to have you.
Thank you so much. I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. And you said, breathe. And I was like, oh, yes, let's breathe. I love it. I love your new beginning. We all need to breathe. Ladies, we don't breathe enough. You know, you get mad and you hold your breath. That's bad for you. It's bad for your brain.
It is. Well, I told you, we got to anchor in the breath and really be present. And I think it's a great way to start.
Yes.
But you know how I like to start off the show, which is, what is bringing you joy in this current season?
In this current season, what is bringing me joy, ladies, is helping women to be confident, because I just believe that confidence is sexy. It is so sexy when a woman walks into the room. She owns her space. She owns her voice. She's not allowing other people to determine her worth. She's like, no, I know my worth. That is what gets me on fire, is for women to get confident.
Beautifully said. And I can just, for those of you not watching this on video, A, what are you doing? But B, her actual expression, for those of you who are listening right now, like, lights up when she says that, because she is so genuinely so passionate about helping women just find their fire and find their spark. And it's so exciting to see, because that's how you know she's living life in alignment.
Exactly. Yes. I think a lot of women, they don't even know that the spark is there. It's buried under all of your responsibilities, your limiting beliefs, your thoughts that you can't do this, you're not enough, all of our childhood trauma. So we're laughing but crying at the same time. No, but all of those limiting thoughts and those beliefs, and that spark is there. So I am here, girl, to light that spark up, to remind you of who you are, and that you can't do anything, because you're not going to be a ballerina, but whatever you put, come on, we're not going to do that. But I do want you to know that you can own the room. You can take up your space. You can negotiate. You can stop negotiating on your worth and start getting paid for the value you bring.
Oof, there's a lot to unpack there, but I'm curious, what does it look like for you to negotiate with your worth?
That's when you're taking behavior pay that is beneath you. There's a struggle that so many women have when it comes to accepting less than their worth. Mm-hmm. And it comes from this mindset. I'm being too much. I'm going to shrink. I don't want to make people mad. But here's the thing. When it comes to your worth, you actually teach people how to treat you. You teach them. You teach them how to treat you, and you teach them how to mistreat you. So every time you pull back on a boundary and say yes when you really wanted to say no, every time you don't give the number, hey, I want X number, and you go with a lower number, every time you accept treatment from a family member, from a spouse, from a friend, from people that you know, you're negotiating your worth. But here's the thing, it's not other people are the issue, it's that really we're the issue.
Oof. That one probably just hit someone in the gut right there. Because when we think about negotiating with our worth, what do you think is the stem of that? What is the self-talk that's behind that, in your opinion?
We talked about this at coffee. It's I'm not enough.
Yeah, I'm not enough.
It's the BS.
Yeah.
It's the belief system. So it's the BS. It's I'm not enough. But when you really break down that thought, enough for what? Like, I want you to get a piece of paper, ladies and brave men who are listening. Get a piece of paper, and you need to write down what enough is. See, because sometimes we're rolling around with these rogue thoughts. Just kind of these rogue thoughts, they're vague. They don't make any sense. And so we come up, I'm not enough. I don't feel like I'm enough. Enough what? Enough of a woman? Well, you got all the pieces, so it couldn't be you're not enough. You got all what it takes to be a woman. You are not, you're not smart enough. Well, let's define what would smart enough be. You got to define it before you can correct it. I'm not a good enough mom. I'm a mom. I have kids. Well, somebody define to me what the hell is good enough. What is that? Define it. I'm not rich enough. What's the number? So instead of us rolling around with these words, I'm not enough, you need to define what enough is. And most people, when they write it down, it's ridiculous. I remember I wrote down like what would be a good enough mom. The list was so long, y'all. I was like gonna like clean, and I was basically gonna be Donna Reed, Beyonce, and at the same time I was gonna be running like 24. Like I was an FBI agent. It was ridiculous. And when I began to look at the list, I'm like, no. Not only can I not do this, no woman could do this. Yeah. So sometimes we're rolling around with this thought like I'm not enough. You haven't defined what enough is. Put it on paper, pen to paper, write it down. Hey, this is what enough is. And then you can say, hey, is this actually a realistic thought or is this a fantasy thought? There's something so powerful about writing down your thoughts and breaking them down to understand what they mean.
Oof. I love the way you just firstly articulated that, but secondly, the concept of writing it down and looking at what you were defining. Because I feel like it's funny when you're in relationship, a lot of times we don't have that same lens for others that we do for ourselves. We come out with more of a requirement for our own selves. And yet when we look at what we would expect from a friend or expect from our spouse, it's significantly more graceful. So it's interesting that you bring that up. I'm curious though, how has your work in this last year kind of changed and shifted? What are you seeing with women currently?
Yeah, well, let me ask you real quick. What do you think is the thought? Because I said I'm not enough, but I'm like, you're smart. You got the her method. What do you think? I mean, come on, you work with the women too. So I know I don't have all of the knowledge on what women in our limited thinking is.
Well, I'm not enough is a big one. I know that for me that has had its sticky little fingers at points, but I think the second one for me would probably the most common is I'm still not worthy of it. Because again, it comes down to define worthy. How do we feel worthy of something? And it's like, what at that point are you claiming? Is it another accolade? Is it a certain number in the bank account? Or is it just, I don't feel whole? Which I've been very, very obsessed this year with feeling whole without needing external, whatever that is, validation, accomplishment. Just feeling whole and complete in my own relationship with myself, and then whole and complete in my relationship with God. I think that a lot of people tend to look at the external validation that they need as a way to gain. And something I had to learn early on was, for me, I have a shaky relationship with my dad. Everyone knows it at this point. Girl, I got a father wound. But the counter of that was always like, well, how can I prove that I'm enough of a good daughter? I'm worthy of our relationship. And so I had to step back and be like, oh, your capacity does not define me. And then secondly, it had to be this awareness of I was worthy with or without that. And having to come back to self and internal realization and actualization.
Man, girl, I just love that, like what you're saying, because as women, like you just hit the nail on the mark. We can define our worth by how we feel instead of who we are. And what I say is that your feelings are great witnesses, but they're terrible judges.
Absolutely.
They are terrible judges, because when you think about it, like you really think about, I don't feel worthy. Well, somebody tell me, what the hell does worthy feel like? What is that
feeling?
Like,
yeah.
What is it? What is the feeling? Is it joy? Is it peace? Is it hope? Is it confidence? Is it drive? Define it. It's another narrative that we construct in our mind, and it keeps us from being the victor of our life, and it causes us to be the victor of our life, because what you cannot define, you can't correct.
Absolutely.
It's so hard to do that. So when I think about worthiness, and I love what you said about the father wound, because so many women, let's just be honest, like well, I know in the Black community, it's something like, don't quote me on these numbers, but it's like something like 65% of homes are run by single mothers. So you have children who grow up without a father, and there's a void. And so from birth, or from 5 or 6, 7, you have a message you're not worthy because this person isn't there. Or maybe your father was there, like mine. My stepfather was there. I didn't grow up in a single home. I grew up in an abusive home. So I got the message, well, I don't matter. But here's the thing about the I am worthy. Just because you feel it's true doesn't mean it is true. Because you can go to a good movie. Everybody's seen Titanic.
Absolutely. Probably.
Like, Jack, oh my God, why did Jack not, why did he like save Rose and not jump in the boat? I'd be like, girl, there is room for both of us up in here. But like, you're watching, I would be a bad spouse. So move over. Snuggle close. You know, and you cry.
Yeah.
But the movie's not even real.
Yeah.
And that's the way our feelings are. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. It could be data, but not destiny. So I might feel it to be true. That doesn't mean it is true. And with my stepfather, like what I had to do is I had to understand. I always say it wasn't my fault, but it's not my problem.
Ooh, I love that. It's not my problem. You know, as you're speaking, I guess one thing kind of leads to another, but another thing that I realized is how often we create stories that might not necessarily be there. And this is especially true for relationship, because like you can have an instance and you're thinking like the conflict is going one way, and then you're internalizing that, you're creating the story, you're creating the feelings that go with the story, and then you come to find out maybe days later, whatever, person's intent or the way they were perceiving what's going on is completely different than how you actually had. And so you're having this whole narrative in your mind that is so far from the truth, and yet you're getting worked up. You're getting all the feelings, and then it might not even be like the case. I think it's kind of like, man, for me, I know that was a situation that happened in this last month for me, where I was just like, I had a whole narrative about a certain situation, and then a few weeks later I got more clarity on it, and I was just like, well, that was a lot of wasted energy.
So good.
A lot of wasted energy for me to be wrong. And then it made me question, well, Anita, why did you jump to that conclusion? Because technically the story wasn't on the other person. It was my own thoughts, feelings, and past situations that made me project onto that person that you're acting or intending to act like a certain way.
I just, like, as you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, so, like, if we take that, like, because we all do it. Come on. Like, you send somebody a text and they don't answer, and all of a sudden you're like, they hate me. They don't like me. What did I do wrong? I should have put an emoji. And you start, like, overthinking, and you get all up in your head. You know, when you're in your head, you're dead. Like, you're totally dead. But life is not as it is as you are. It's as you are. So if you're going to do that with the text, it's showing up in your life, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So then you go, okay, like, I'm confident. I want to have this confidence, but you can't be confident with making up all these stories, or at least pick a good story. So what happened with me, I had a large speaking event, and in the speaking world, just so you know, like, there's different ways you get into it. It's not glamorous. You know, you do outreaches. Hey, I see you're having an event, or sometimes people reach out to you. Well, this person who I had reached out to didn't answer. And then they don't answer, and they don't answer, and they don't answer. So guess what I begin to do? I begin to make up a story. Like, oh my gosh, they don't like me. They don't want me. They don't like my pitch. I need to change this. I need to change that. You know, what I have, it's not valued. They don't want it. It's not worth it. See, all the mother freaking story. You thought I was going to cuss. I didn't cuss. But all the freaking story that we make up. And so it turns out, like, this is over 7-8 months. And one day I'm like, okay, let me just send another email. And she answers, and she says, yes. Yeah, we'd love to have you come. I'd love to talk to you. But here's the problem. I made up a story that wasn't even true. She hadn't even seen the email. She hadn't even seen the email. And it's, like, so funny. But then as women, we want to be confident, and we make up a story so we don't make the ask. And you know what it is? You have this story of rejection. They don't want it anyway.
Yeah.
They don't need it anyway. Oh, what I'm saying is not important. Oh, they're too busy. So you
self-reject.
Self-reject on behalf of someone else. But when you do not take the action, even though you have that narrative, you know what it does? It drains you of confidence.
It does, yeah.
You lose your confidence. And so you start living a life by a story that you created.
Ah, that was so good. That was so good. And see, it's tying in, because when we think about these stories we create, another thing about the father wound I really have been thinking about, just because I work with a lot of clients who tend to have it, because, you know, we understand, we relate, but it has this tendency to self-reject. Because you get this fear of rejection. If I put myself out there, what does it mean? And so I think that entrepreneurship, and I was just saying this on a voice note last night, is the counter to that. Because whether you like it or not, there is always going to be some form of rejection somewhere. Mm-hmm. It might be you don't get the speaking engagement you want, or you might not land the client deal, or the timing might be off, or someone just tells you no. And again, we create these stories of, like, do I have the value? Can I do this? What if no one wants what I have to offer? And it's like, when we have, especially the father wound, when we have that ingrained in us, it has its pre-inventive notion of, like, I need to self-protect. And by self-protecting, I'm not just going to go for what it is I want. And so I think this last year for me has been, like, the word I was really going for was audacious. And so I would literally put myself out there. And I've put myself out there quite a bit. And let me tell you, did I get rejected? Heck yeah. Multiple times. At one point, there was a specific speaking engagement that I've been, like, trying to land. And they do, like, different sessions throughout the year. So I would be like, okay, next one. Next one would come up and someone else would get chosen. And then I would put my name in the hat for the next one. And at one point I was like, damn, I'm starting to look real desperate here. But in my mind, it was like, either I continue and at least I'm putting myself out there, because here's the thing. A seed you don't plant doesn't grow. A seed you don't plant doesn't grow. So for me, I was like, I may not get this one, but when the timing aligns, when it's meant to be, when the message aligns, it'll still continue. And if I self-reject and say, okay, you know what, you haven't picked me for these events, well, what if maybe in my perspective, instead of speaking at like a dinner or something like that, you become the main stage. But if you're not putting your name in the hat, how do you know what the outcome is? So I think that it's interesting, because we have to take a look at what is the story you're creating about your nose, because the way that you think about the world becomes a mirror for you in anything we do, whether that's business, relationship, money. It becomes a mirror of how you're viewing and what's really going on internally.
That's so interesting. I'm reading this book by Adam Grant, Think Again. It's an incredible book. And it does make me think about confidence, the father wound, all of it. Because you said a seed you don't plant, like you can't reap what you don't sow. But somehow we think it's this magic. You know, we live in Las Vegas, so there's a bit of magic here. There's a lot of tricks and things like that going on. But it really comes down to how you think and how you think about yourself. So, as women, we are so good at advocating for others, but we are good at advocating for others, but not advocating for ourselves. We have a tendency to accuse ourselves. You don't have this and you don't have that. And it could go back to your father. It could go back to your mother. But here's the problem. You can't break yourself down and build yourself up.
Oof.
How are you supposed to do that? How are you supposed to break yourself down and build yourself up at the same time? You can't. So one of the things that he suggests in this book is to be a scientist. Stop being the accuser of your life. Start being the scientist of your life. Start finding evidence that things are going to happen for you. You have a 100% track record of making it thus far. You could be a woman who's in corporate. Why do you look at all of your negative aspects and don't look at your positive aspects? What's up with that? What's up with the accusing mindset? If you're an entrepreneur, sure, maybe the business is not, making 8 figures yet, but you started the business. So you have to, we want to manage our weaknesses and we want to leverage our strengths. You need to look at your strengths and say, okay, I understand that my father said this, but again, it may not be your fault, but now it's your problem. So it's not about what they say, it's about what I think. Mm-hmm. Yes, I might get rejected, but at the same time, why not create a better story? I'll get accepted. Mm-hmm. And I just believe that a lot of us as women, we have 500 excuses and no reason as to why we are still stuck.
Ooh. I'm going to need you to run that one back.
We've got 500 excuses and no real reason as to why we are still stuck. I was in my house thinking how you have a pity party? It's you and all your worst thoughts and all your worst failures, and you all just sit there and have a cup of tea. You and your pity party. But then I thought, wait a minute, hold on. Harriet Tubman. No excuses. She didn't have no Wi-Fi. She didn't have a phone. She did not have a network on IG. She didn't have followers. She had a goal. She had a plan. She had a why. And I was like, no excuses. Black woman, living when people were slaves, getting people free. So really, if you don't know how to do it, find a way to do it. If you don't know how to handle your thoughts, get some help to handle your thoughts. Do not allow your worst narrative to create your destiny.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And it makes me think of how often we literally sit in the pity party for a little too long. Anyone else guilty of that?
Yeah.
Where you take maybe one rejection or one relationship gone wrong and you make it mean something about you. And it's like, again, what we create meanings to is how life starts to mirror. And so it's like, when you think about the no excuses and what is your why, that actually changes the frame of how you are able to navigate certain challenges. Because guess what? If you don't have problems, you're probably dead.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, if you don't know your why, you're not going to know what to do. So you have to understand your why. For me, understanding my purpose, it gave me confidence.
How did you get to your purpose, though? For the listener right now who's going, that's cute, but like, I don't know, and I'm not sure why I'm even alive. So for the one who's listening right now going, I'm a little lost, what would you say? How do you find your purpose? How do you find your why?
Yes. Your purpose is inside of you. That's the first thing. People think that they got to go to the Himalayas and they need to go to the Amazon River and they need to go find you. And I'm always like, why do you need to go find you? You is right here. I'm looking right at you. Why do you need to go there to find out what's in here? You don't need to do that. So the first thing I tell people is your purpose. I have a purpose formula, and it's 4-part formula. Number 1, it's the problem that you solve. So there is a problem that only you can solve. Like, you can walk into a room and see this problem and everybody else is fine, and you're like, I don't know what is wrong with you people. I don't like that. So for me, for example, my problem is insecurity. I can't stand it. When I see a woman who has so much greatness on the inside of her and she doesn't use her voice, she's in her head, she's self-sabotage, she has internal blocks, she is not getting over herself, I'm like, absolutely the F not. You will not do that. I am here. My purpose is to help you walk in your purpose. I'm here to give power to you. Like, there's an energy behind it. Number 2, it's your passion. So I always say we don't want to have wildfire. We want to have directed fire. Mm-hmm. Your passion, it's going to energize you, but it's the third P is people. It's going to go towards people. So people who say, well, I really have a passion for like bunny rabbits and like making sweaters for bunny rabbits. So that's not what we're talking about.
That's a hobby.
That's a really nice hobby. And by the way, I love bunny rabbits. They're so cute. However, your passion is going to direct you to people. Mm-hmm. So think of Harriet Tubman. Her passion fueled her towards people. Your passion is going to move you. Mm-hmm. Sitting on your assets is not a passion. I didn't cuss. Did I cuss? I did not cuss. Did y'all hear that? I did not use that kind of language. But sitting on your assets, that's there's no way that could be your purpose. Now, when I say sitting on your assets, I don't mean like if you're in a wheelchair, if you're on Zoom. What I mean is that your passion is going to give you movement, and it's beyond a video game. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have problem, we have passion, we have people. The 4th part is your pain. It is your pain. It is that thing that took your breath away, where you were like, I don't even know if I'm going to make it through. Like that moment in your life where you were disoriented, like discombobulated, and you felt like the whole world stopped. Everything stopped. That day that thing happened, for some people, it was somebody violating them. For some people, it was abuse. For some people, it was a really bad diagnosis. Now, I'm not saying that just because you get a diagnosis, you need to help other people with the diagnosis, but I am saying that pain qualifies you to help other people. Mm-hmm. So for me, my painful moment was my son being diagnosed with special needs. And like you said, creating a story, self-rejecting. No one's going to want to hear what I have to say. No one's going to say that you can help women with this when your life looks like that. But now I take that pain and I make it my power. And when you understand all 4 it gives you a level of confidence that is ridiculous, because no, I may not be her, but I am me. I am confident in what I'm called to do. So I don't try to go in somebody else's lane. I stay in my lane. I'm not always comparing myself to others. I contrast myself. Because if we are going to play the comparison game, then one of us is not necessary. And I just believe that understanding our purpose, yes, it gives you confidence. And it's also, like I use the example of a pen. Well, let me use the example of a watch. I have this watch here. And for those of you who are listening on the podcast, I'm pointing to my watch. And I could take my watch off and I could, let's say, throw it. Mm-hmm. I could use it, like, try to put it around my neck. I could, like, hit somebody with it. But we all would agree I could do all of these things with that watch, but it wouldn't be the best use of it. Yeah. Here's the point. When you don't know the purpose for a thing, you're going to misuse the thing.
Oof.
You're going to misuse it. Yeah. That means you end up in the wrong relationship. You will end up working for lower pay. You will end up settling for situations that are less than your value. But when you know the purpose for a thing, you begin to use it. And instead of wasting your time, you see, like with my watch here, I use my time. I use my time wisely. I'm not afraid to tell someone no. Why? Because I know my purpose. I'm not afraid to put the price out there. Sometimes I am, but I do it anyway. Why? Because I know my purpose. I'm not afraid to speak. Why? Because I know my purpose. Once you get your purpose right, I just believe you get your confidence right.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And that analogy, wow. Y'all see why she's on this podcast for a third time. So much wisdom. I adore you, which is not a secret, but I really just want to take a moment just to say, like, seeing how you walk in purpose is how you know you're also living in alignment. I talk a lot about alignment, and I think a lot of us forget that to be the most aligned version of ourselves, it's to come home and return to ourselves rather than to think about, what does mom want? What does dad want? What do my husband and kids want? I mean, look, I'm not saying, because a lot of people are going to go, here goes the single one with no responsibilities talking a little bit of crap. But the reality is, going back to what Sheree said in the beginning of this interview, we teach others how to treat us. And so if we are walking around with a distorted value in ourselves, then people naturally are going to walk all over us. They're going to talk to us in ways that we don't necessarily like. They're going to expect things from us that we don't necessarily want to give. And so it ties back into the full purpose of this conversation of how do we gain the strength to do that? And so walking in your purpose, having your confidence. And one thing I want to note is you hit that point about comparison so beautifully, because it's very easy to play the comparison game, especially in business, and go, well, this person had it done easier, or this person's journey is much whatever, or they have more followers on Instagram. And it's like, well, how are you going to measure yourself? Because if you're measuring yourself against someone else, you're always going to lose. There's always going to be someone prettier, smarter, with more followers and a bigger bank account.
That's so good. I love what you said, Anita. And I mean, yeah, you're single. You have responsibilities. However, how many women do you know, that have been married for 30 years and they're miserable? Or they raise their kids and now they don't know who they are. That's so important. It drains you of your confidence. And I'm saying that as a married woman with two adult daughters and 2 sons. It drains your confidence. Like, you want to give your aspects of yourself to your family, even if you don't have kids. But here's a problem. We start treating everybody else like they're mandatory and like we are an option.
Yeah.
You start treating everybody else's opinion like it's mandatory and like yours is an option. You start treating everybody else's thoughts like they're mandatory and like yours are an option. So how do you not compare yourself? Well, you do want to, I say like we were born comparing. That's how you learned how to talk. So there's no self-taught baby. Just so we all know, I'm a self-made woman. You're a liar. No, you're not. How'd you learn how to talk? You have to look at other people. That's how you learned. So mom, dad, caregiver, grandma, one day they were like, Johnny, say mama. Mama. How'd you do that? You had to compare your mouth to theirs. You had to move your mouth. That is referencing. We have to do some social referencing. But we need to make sure we're not comparing ourselves. How do you know when you're referencing versus comparison? Referencing means I'm aspiring to do, and comparison means I don't like myself. I don't like myself. I feel bad about myself. So I look at it like, okay, I admire her. I acknowledge her. Maybe in some ways I want to be like that. But as soon as I start feeling bad about myself, I know that I've gone from the contrasting zone to the comparison zone. And it's dangerous because then we can go into envy. And envious people are terrible. Why? Because they are critics and they spread hate. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And people who are envious, they spread hate like the plague.
Oh, yeah. You'll never find a happy person or a more successful person than you putting you down. They may coach you or mentor you. That's a different situation. But they're not going to put you down. They are actually typically, even in the coaching or the mentorship aspect, if someone's giving you advice, it's usually coming from a place of, do you even want to hear this? Versus the person on Instagram who's just leaving you a hateful comment because they don't like how your hair looks today.
Well, here's the thing about that. Think about the energy it takes to do that. Think about the energy it takes. Let's just talk about to compare yourself.
Yeah.
All that energy. Energy spent in one place is not spent in another.
Yeah.
So all of the energy that I've used to compare myself, I'm not spending it on myself. Somebody tell me how that works. How does that, where is your proof? So let's get into the scientist mode, not the accusing. I love what Adam Grant, how he brings that up in his book. Let's get it, be a scientist. Where's your proof that that works?
Yeah.
Where is your proof? I'm not talking about admiring people. I'm talking about comparing yourself to people. Where is your proof that that made you any better? No, it didn't. It just made you feel bad about yourself. And that goes back to what I said. You cannot break yourself down and at the same time build yourself up. So comparison is a decision. It is a decision. And deciding not to go into that indecision. Well, I don't know if I should not compare myself. You know, this person has all these followers. Followers don't equal finances.
Oh, I can attest to that. I've seen so many people who you think they have the following and, oh, life's great. But then you actually get to talking with them. And then you get this realization of they have followers, they have likes, but they don't have income.
Girl, okay, I'm not gossiping, y'all, but I'm saying. Okay, so I was getting my face done. I was getting, I'm like, should I tell y'all where? Okay, yeah. So I was getting my face done. I was going to get some injections. And I heard this lady talking about her spouse. I guess it was her spouse. Now, y'all, I wasn't eavesdropping, but she was right there. And they were like whispering like loud, you know, and I was like, this is awkward. But she was talking about her spouse, how he had 500,000 followers, but he hadn't been able to monetize it. So guess what we do? You go to Instagram, you open it up, you see all of their followers, and guess what you do? You tell yourself a story.
Yeah.
You tell yourself
have so many likes. People want to buy from them. And then you realize
you tell yourself a story.
It might not be the case.
It might not. It could be the case, but it might not be the case But here's the thing. You're using your precious energy for somebody else's life.
Mm-hmm.
And those stories, they keep us stuck.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're trying to fill in the gaps. And the truth is, it's none of your business. It has nothing to do with you. So that's why I say, like, comparison, like, where's your proof that it works? You're using your energy in the wrong place. That energy that you're using on them, you could be using on you. And that is the way you build confidence. You stop focusing on others and begin to focus on myself. And guess what happens when I focus on myself? Now I have a measurement indicator. Am I better than last year? Am I better than last month? What's the number? Am I putting myself out there? How many times did I put myself out there? See, it takes energy to build belief in yourself, and it takes energy to not build belief in yourself. Not building belief is destroying your own mind. Focusing on them, looking at what they're doing, what did they say? Since when does what someone said actually help you?
I did an interview. I want to say it was back in April. And she goes, I'll start caring about your opinion once it starts paying my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, how good was that? Because half the time we look into, well, what is Billy Joe going to say about my outfit? Or what are they going to say about this podcast? Or what are they going to say about what I'm trying to build in this world? Well, who really cares what they say? You know, it's funny. So my grandpa just passed away and I got a tattoo. And the very first thing my grandma asked me was, are you nervous to debut it? Because it's been a while since I did the last one. And culturally, it's not very common for the women to have a bunch of tattoos. So I'm leaning on, you got one too many going. And I was like, you know, the last two that I got, it wasn't as big of a deal as we thought it was going to be. And so, what's one more? Who cares what they're going to say? And I was like, you know what's going to happen? They'll draw awareness to it for maybe a day. And then after the fact, they're just going to go on and live their own lives. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, whose opinion is paying your bills? Whose opinion is actually changing your life? It's the actions we take based on other people's supposed opinions that actually changes our lives. But you have to remember the common factor there. You're the person who actually took that action or didn't take the action because you were anticipating the opinion of someone. And so this brings me to a point of, like, I've seen this play out firsthand. And it's like, you live your life for others. And I can guarantee you, other people are not going to sit around going, what decisions did you make? Is it right for you? They may talk. They may gossip for a couple of minutes because people like to do that. But ultimately, when it comes to you and your life, you're the one who's going to deal with the rewards or the consequences.
Yeah, that's so good. And that's why I talk about, like, self-respect is so important. But it's self-respect, not people respect. So what this means is, you, just like you said, you don't need to get somebody's validation. You don't need 15 opinions. You don't need to understand what they think, what they say. Like, we're talking about 2 or 3. And that's why I don't try to get people's respect. I need them to respect me. Why? Why? Why do you need them? And usually them is like 2 people. Okay? Like, look, come on, y'all. Let's just be honest. It's like 2 people. I need them to respect me. They're going to show me some respect. Baby, show yourself some respect. See, when you respect yourself, you have the right thoughts. Yeah. When you respect yourself, you don't tolerate certain actions and behaviors in relationships. When you respect yourself, you place yourself in the right environment. You don't hang with people for your now. You cultivate an environment for your next. When you respect yourself, you are so focused on your next level, you don't have time to talk to other people. People who build are not concerned about others. That's for the life of those who are doing nothing. So for me, self-respect as a woman, confidence as a woman comes with respecting myself. When I respect myself, I have all the respect that I need. Trying to get respect is actually trying to get validation. You want somebody to validate the worthiness of you. Why? Why do you need, why? You know why? It's going to make you feel good.
For 2 seconds.
How about you make your own self feel good? How about you take the action on the things that you said you were going to do? That's how you build confidence and belief in yourself. When you train your mind, when you go to Instagram, that's such a great example. Why are you there? If you're just there to scroll, no wonder your confidence is low. If you're there to be an observer, a student, your confidence will go high. But if you're just there to see what everybody else's life is doing, that means you have no life of your own. Of course you're not confident. And like, not to be a jerk, but you shouldn't be. You're not doing anything. So the best thing to do is to go, okay, I'm not going to focus on them. I'm going to focus on me. Okay, where do I want to be in 10 years? Where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 3 years? Where do I want to be in 2 years? What kind of actions are going to get me to where I want to be in 10 years? That means I cannot be looking at what you're doing right now. Then I need to look at my actions. And you know what I need to do? I need to measure my actions. Did that work? Did that not work? Did this work? Did this not work? Who do I need to meet? Who do I need to be around? See, when you're focused on yourself, you don't have time for others. You don't have time for others. That's the way I look at it. Just it's a decision. And when we don't do this, I always say indecision is a decision to stay stuck.
Oof, that's a really good one. I'm curious though, because you kind of brought it up. What is the difference between confidence and embodiment to you?
The difference between confidence and embodiment. I believe that embodiment, maybe it's more of like, this is your world, y'all. She's smart. She is smart. It's close, but embodiment is like a full identity alignment. It's where your thoughts, what you see, your perspective, your mind, your philosophy, your words, even your movements, your actions, your decisions, they all align. You're fully embodying an identity instead of trying to build an identity. That's what it's you. Not trying to impress. I love it when you can tell when somebody's important. They're not trying to impress anybody. There's nothing to impress. They are being who they really are. But what are you? I mean, because embodiment, sophisticated.
It's not that sophisticated. I think we're making a little complication out of it. But for me, embodiment really is. It comes back to also your intention. Am I acting in alignment with the intention that I've set out for myself? And you see, here's the one thing I want to make a note of. Confidence, embodiment. A lot of us think that we have to be on a certain trajectory. And it has to be straight line. It's going to happen. We stick with all the positive emotions. We rewire our thoughts. We catch those limiting beliefs real time. No, there's still going to be days where your confidence might be dipped down a little bit. But here's how you know you're still in alignment with your confidence and your embodiment. You know you're still in alignment when you have a bad moment and then you pick yourself up and you still continue the action anyway. Because you can take that same day of not feeling confident or not feeling great about yourself and you can turn that into, okay, well, this means I just stop. Or does it just mean that was a bad moment? I'm going to cry it out. I'm going to feel what I need to feel. And we're still going to show up anyways. It's a different energy. It's a different consistency. I've been thinking about consistency a lot, especially when it comes to confidence. And consistency is really what builds the confidence if we think about it. Now, it can look different in terms of what consistent means for you. But for me, it means I'm going to recommit even if I fall off. And that doesn't mean I'm waiting for Monday or I'm waiting for January 1st. No, I'm going to recommit the next chance I get. So maybe For me, that might look like, okay, I didn't make it to a workout class today. I'm going to go to the next one tomorrow. I'm going to make sure it's scheduled into my day somewhere. Or maybe I didn't hit as many sales pitches today. Okay, well, tomorrow I'm going to double up. Just because you have a bad now doesn't mean you need to make a bad tomorrow.
So good. That's so good. Yeah, we're using different language. Identity. This is who I am versus this is what I do. Some people they visit, or let me not talk about some people. Because, it's always easier to talk about those people than it is you. Have you ever noticed that? People do this. Okay. I have done that where I've visited, I've dabbled, I've tried, but I haven't done. Mm-hmm. Because my identity was wrong. And it's making a decision to live by the I am versus I want to do. That is, to me, what it sounds like. We're talking about, and this is who I am. No, I am a speaker. This is what speakers do. No, I am a coach. This is what coaches do. No, I am a communication advisor. This is what they do. And it's staying true to that, even on the days that it's hard. But then I go back like Harriet Tubman. She's one of my heroes. Every day was hard. Every day was hard. I think somebody said that the person you admire is daily getting punched in the face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If not daily, at least weekly.
Yeah,
there's something that comes up, something that triggers them. But the difference is they don't stay in that stuck energy for too long. They start to look, okay, this didn't work out. Well, either I need to pivot into something new, or I need to reassess and what went wrong there. But it's a different energy. It's not, I'm going to sit in my pity party for 3 days about something that didn't work out. No, I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to figure out what's next.
So good.
So I'm curious, though, in your opinion, when it comes to confidence, do you think a woman can be confident yet disconnected from herself?
That's a really good question. Can you be confident and be disconnected from yourself? I think no, I don't. Because when you're disconnected from yourself, you're not walking in your identity. How are you going to correct yourself if you're disconnected from yourself? What I tell people is when it comes to something like confidence, so let's take overthinking, self-sabotage, getting in your own way. How are you going to correct that when you're disconnected from yourself? Yeah, there's this proverb that it says it's not good for your soul to be without knowledge. Mm-hmm. The most important thing that you could do is get knowledge about your own soul. Yeah. So that means you have to address, first of all, you got to know yourself, address yourself, and correct yourself. But how can you correct a self that you're disconnected from? You're not fully embodying your confidence. What you're doing is playing pretend and a role.
Ooh. So what you're saying is you can't be confident without the awareness.
No, no, absolutely not.
Beautifully said. I think I wanted to bring that home because a lot of people, they have this like, oh, I can fake it till I make it. And to an extent, sure, you can start faking it, which might be you kind of dabbling with a new identity. But ultimately, you're going to need to know and have the awareness of, well, where are my gaps? And that's a question a lot of people don't like to answer because it creates self-responsibility.
Yeah, so good. That's so true. When you're disconnected from yourself, I love what you said, Anita. If you're disconnected from you, then who are you connected to? That means that somebody else is running your show and it's not you. That's a dangerous place to be because that doesn't make you powerful. I've been there. It makes you a puppet. When you live by a narrative that was not written by you.
Wow. That hit home mostly because when you think about the women we see, right? And it's like, it comes back to this question of like, who are you really living for? Who are you placing value in? Because oftentimes, I'll say this and I've said this before, we want to outsource our feelings when in reality we're the ones who are stuck with ourselves 24/7. It does not matter if you're married, if you're single, if you have kids, you don't have kids. The one relationship you're going to have to carry forward throughout your entire life from birth to death is yourself.
So good.
So if you don't like you, that might be an invitation to go deeper.
So good. That's so true. So true.
Yeah. I'm curious, in your perspective, what makes a woman not confident to use her voice?
A lot of what we both see, which is overthinking. This is where you think yourself out of the very plan that you said that you were going to do. Have you ever done it?
Absolutely.
Where you're like, okay, I'm gonna make this ask. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna make this phone call, and you think of all the ways it will work, and then as fast as you can, you think of the 15 reasons why it won't work. So what happens is you overthink yourself, you stop yourself, and you self-sabotage yourself out of your own plan. That's what really causes women to become to not have full confidence, because it's there, but it's like you're holding yourself back. You know you should make the ask. You know you should ask for a pay raise. Mm-hmm. I think that indeed, so don't quote me on these numbers, but it was something like 43% of women didn't even ask. They didn't even ask for the raise.
Forget the raise. Oftentimes, women in the marketplace, and this is coming from my corporate background, don't even negotiate when they get an offer. They'll just take whatever the first offer is. Ladies, if you're listening to this and you are still in corporate, or if you're just negotiating contracts, never take the first offer on the table.
For sure.
Because I know that I was guilty of that. And I remember the last job actually I worked before I left, I had more experience, but I only, based off of what I was earning, asked for, I think, $5,000 more. And so they came in, gave me that first offer. It was $8,000 more than what I was earning. And I was like, ooh, yay, $8,000 more a year. And then I was speaking with a dear colleague of mine who was qualified, completely new to the position, managed to get an extra $6,000 simply because she negotiated. So it made me realize, oh, I shot myself in the foot, because I was so used to this set income that I didn't think of the stretch. And it's like, we are our own cap.
You are your lid. It's the leadership lid. And just understanding. So for someone who is listening and you want to negotiate, number one, you need to know your fair market value. Because some people are like, oh, to be paid what I'm worth. And I want women to get paid their worth. You're also paid for the worth and the value that you bring. Number two, in your industry, what is the value? Number three, what is your company doing? Then number four, you need to understand how to negotiate. You have to get rid of those negative thoughts. I hear a lot of women saying, I don't want to be greedy. I've been here so long. Well, I'm going to tell you something. That company ain't got no problem with being greedy. That's why they gave you 2 weeks of vacation. Yeah. And said, if you call out sick, we're deducting from that. So think of when you negotiate, if you have a really hard time that I want to help you, pretend like you're negotiating for somebody else. Because we're so good at advocating for others. Just pretend, like, have an alter ego, like you're negotiating for another woman. Yeah. And that a lot of times will help you. Yeah. When you don't feel like you're going at bat and like you're just trying to take something.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, because there's an opportunity cost that comes with not using your voice, not having the confidence to speak up. In your perspective, how many opportunities do you see typically women will lose because they're waiting until they, my favorite word, feel ready?
I can tell you from my own life, I wasted 20 years of opportunities. 20 years, so that's 2 decades. And what ended up happening was in 2001, someone had asked me to speak. And I said, no, I'm not ready. Like, I don't don't have anything to say. And it was 20 years. So just think how many opportunities you've wasted. It's not a number. It's usually decades.
Oof. So what's the cost of waiting?
The cost of waiting is regret. It's regret. When the palliative care nurse, her name just slipped my mind, when she did her research on the death and dying, one of the number one, or I want to say it's the number one regret of the death and the dying, is that they didn't live a life authentic to them. They didn't go for what they wanted. So you have to think about that. Do you want to look back on the last 10 years knowing that you live by what other people wanted? Or do you want to be damn proud of yourself that you went for what you wanted? Think of your life like a resume. And it's when you look at it, you want to be proud. So it's vacations that you didn't take. It was that house you couldn't buy. It was things that you wanted to buy for your kids. It was money that you wanted to give. It's experiences that you don't have. And when you add all of the opportunities that you missed because you just wouldn't ask, it's not $100. We're probably talking over $1 million. Time, opportunities, and experiences that you can't get back. That's why I tell women that you are the number one investment. You are the best investment that you will ever make. People invest in real estate, but they don't invest in their mental real estate, not recognizing that mental real estate allows you to have the confidence and capacity that you want so that you can live this powerful life.
Wow. The cost is regret, guys. You see, I think oftentimes, and it's interesting because I just had to do a eulogy, but the eulogy experiment tends to be a really powerful thing in the sense that when you think about how you want to be remembered, and this doesn't always mean accomplishments, but it can. When you are no longer with us, what is the impact that you want to make? What is it that you want people to remember? And oftentimes I will come back to the point that a lot of parents mistake that they think that going for their dreams might be selfish. In reality, you cannot tell your children, you can have it all. Go for your dreams. Be the best version of you if you are not following that same advice. Because patterns are caught, not taught.
That's so good. I love that eulogy experiment. I remember I did that maybe 10 years ago. And thank you for saying that, because that was what helped me. I recognized that I wanted more than softball games and soccer and Gatorade. That is more to life than some darn Gatorade. And it helped me to see that I wanted to make a difference in this world. The thing is that it's like what I said. When you know your purpose, instead of using yourself in the wrong way, you use yourself in the right way. Think of your purpose like a pen. Who is writing the story?
Oof.
Are you writing it, or is somebody else writing it?
Beautiful. Well, as we wrap, I'm curious if you'll play a little game with me.
Yeah, okay.
Finish the sentence. The woman you're becoming is
Powerful.
beautiful. What's next in this chapter that you're stepping into? Is there something you're creating that you're especially passionate about right now?
Oh, yes. So something in this chapter I'm creating is really quadrupling my impact with women. My goal is for women to be paid and treated what they are worth. But in order for them to do that, we can't be overthinking. We can't be self-sabotaging. We can't have these internal blocks. Because in this next chapter, I want your next chapter to be better than your last 4 chapters. That's my goal.
Beautiful. And for the woman who's listening, who's spent years waiting until she feels confident enough, what's the one thing you hope she remembers after today's conversation?
take the next step. Whether it's making the ask, starting to write your book, finding out what it takes to have the LLC, take the next step. And I do believe that you probably need someone else to help you take that step. Nobody who did anything great ever did it alone. I love the African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, take a friend. So take someone with you. Get a mentor, get a coach. Reach out to Anita, reach out to me. And I just believe that if you take the next step, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Absolutely.
You're ready. You're ready. Like, this is your moment to take that step.
Beautiful. And, we always end on a quick fire. So, wrapping up. And remember, single word to a sentence. But what's a word for this current season for you?
Rebirth.
Oof, I like that one. A book that has recently inspired you. Though I think you've talked about this one a couple of times.
Think Again by Adam Grant.
What's one belief you actually had to unlearn?
Your opinion isn't my problem.
Oof, I like that. Success means?
Joy.
Confidence means?
Do it now.
Authenticity means?
I am who I am.
A piece of advice that has stayed with you in this season?
Other people's opinion is not your problem.
Oh, that's a good one. And lastly, what's one thing you want women to stop apologizing for?
Being too much.
Well, that is beautiful. Sheree, I'm just so grateful to have you here. This was such a great confidence conversation. Say that 5 times fast. But every time we connect, I just feel like your heart and your soul just shine through with what you're doing. And I'm so honored to know you, to be a part of this journey with you, to see how you are impacting lives of women and just coming home to not only yourself constantly, but also coming home and helping women return to themselves, return to their true essence, return to who they really are on the inside before the world told them who to be. Mm-hmm. So I want to honor you and thank you again for spending some time with me on my show today. It was amazing.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun, and y'all, it was so good to see you on the podcast.
I love you. Well, guys, thank you for listening. I will have our information in the show notes below. If you like this podcast, go ahead and rate and review. We are actually, by the time this airs, crossing 100 episodes, which is crazy to think. So if you want to go ahead and leave a review, it is greatly appreciated. And until the next one, remember, confidence is found in the simple acts you are doing, but embodiment is in the simple acts of who you're being and living as. And that's all for now. See you in the next episode.